The Galactic Trade Summit on Veylora Prime was in full swing, with delegates from 100 worlds sampling delicacies from across known space. Captain Marcus Reed stood at his booth, watching potential customers drift past his impressive display of Earth confections, chocolate truffles, caramel bonbons, crystallized fruits, and delicate pastries that had cost him a fortune to transport across 3-star systems. He'd invested everything in this venture, convinced that human sweets would be the sensation of the summit. "These look absolutely divine," a melodious voice said behind him, and Marcus turned to find himself face to face with the most stunning being he'd ever encountered. Her skin was a rich purple that seemed to shift in the station's artificial lighting, and her long blonde hair cascaded over shoulders draped in what could only be royal garments, flowing fabrics embedded with gems that pulsed with soft bioluminescence. Her golden eyes studied his display with genuine interest, and when she smiled, Marcus felt his heart skip several beats. "Your Highness," he stammered, recognizing the royal insignia on her ceremonial sash. He'd done his research on the major delegations, and this could only be Princess Zaralyn of the Auroran system, daughter of the ruling family that controlled the richest agricultural worlds in the sector. "I'm honored. Please sample anything you'd like." She reached for a chocolate truffle, her fingers graceful and slightly longer than human proportions, and brought it to her lips. Marcus watched as she tasted it, her expression shifting through curiosity to something like disappointment. "It's sweet," she said carefully, clearly trying not to offend. "Very sweet. Is this what Earth cuisine is known for?" "Our confections are legendary," Marcus said, hearing the defensiveness in his own voice. He'd bet everything on this venture. "I've brought the finest examples of Earth's candy-making traditions. These chocolates alone cost." "I'm sure they did," Zaralyn interrupted gently, setting the truffle back down. "But Captain Reed, may I be honest with you?" She leaned closer, and Marcus caught a scent like exotic flowers and rain. "You're competing against artificial flavor synthesizers. Any world with basic technology can replicate sugar and cocoa compounds. What they can't replicate—" She paused, her golden eyes holding his with an intensity that made him forget the bustling summit around them. "What they can't replicate are the truly rare treasures, the things that only grow in specific conditions that can't be mass-produced or synthesized." Marcus felt his dreams crumbling. 3 years of planning, his entire savings invested in this shipment. "What would you suggest, Your Highness, that I abandon my booth and go home?" Her expression softened with what looked like sympathy and something more. "No, Captain, I'm suggesting a partnership." She glanced around, then lowered her voice to a whisper that sent shivers down his spine. "Skip the sweets, Marcus. Try my coconuts instead." He blinked, certain he'd misheard. "Your coconuts." Zaralyn's purple skin deepened to a rich violet. A blush, he realized. "On Aurora, we cultivate something unique in the galaxy. We call them star coconuts, though they're not related to Earth coconuts at all. They grow in our zero-gravity orchards in conditions that can't be replicated artificially. The trees are ancient, predating spaceflight, and they only produce fruit when tended by specific families who have kept the cultivation secrets for millennia. My family's grove is the finest on Aurora." She paused, her eyes searching his face. "I've watched you all morning, Marcus. You're passionate about what you do even if you've chosen the wrong product. That passion is rare. I'm offering you exclusive rights to distribute star coconuts off-world, but there's a condition." "What condition?" Marcus asked, his merchant instincts warring with his curiosity about why this princess had been watching him all morning. "You'd have to come to Aurora, meet my family, learn about the cultivation process. It would take time, months, perhaps longer. And—" She hesitated, and Marcus saw vulnerability flash across her regal features. "And you'd have to agree to let me show you my world properly, not as a merchant calculating profit margins, but as someone willing to understand what makes Aurora special." There was something in her voice, an undercurrent of loneliness that Marcus recognized because he felt it too. The isolation of always being on the move, always chasing the next deal, never staying anywhere long enough to build something real. "Why me?" he asked quietly. "You could partner with established distributors, people with better connections than a failed candy merchant." "Because when I walked past your booth earlier, the first time before I came back, I saw you rearrange that display 3 times, trying to make it perfect. I saw you smile at a child who couldn't afford to buy anything but whose eyes lit up at the chocolate. I saw someone who cares about bringing joy to people, not just profit." Zaralyn reached out and took his hand, her touch cool and electric. "And because when you looked at me just now, you didn't see a princess or a business opportunity. You saw me. That's rarer than any treasure in the galaxy." Marcus felt the weight of the decision pressing down on him. Accept her offer and abandon his current venture, or decline and watch his investment disappear while wondering what might have been. "Your Highness," "Zara," she interrupted. "If we're going to be partners, you should call me Zara." "Zara," he repeated, loving the way her name felt on his tongue. "I accept your offer, but I have a condition of my own. I want honesty between us." "This isn't just about business for you, is it?" Her golden eyes widened, then she laughed, a sound like bells chiming in wind. "No, Marcus Reed of Earth, it's not just about business. I've been attending these summits for 5 years, meeting merchants and dignitaries and potential suitors my family keeps parading before me, and I've been desperately bored by all of them. Then I saw you, so earnest with your chocolate truffles, so determined to make people happy, and I thought, here's someone interesting. Here's someone real." She squeezed his hand. "So yes, I want you to come to Aurora partly because I think we could build something amazing together professionally, but mostly because I want to know you and I want you to know me, and these summits don't allow time for anything real to develop." Marcus made his decision in that moment. He'd gambled on the sweets and lost. Perhaps it was time to gamble on something else entirely. "When do we leave?" The journey to Aurora took 2 weeks aboard Zaralyn's royal vessel, and every day Marcus discovered something new about the princess who'd upended his life. She was brilliant, with 3 advanced degrees in xenobotany and agricultural economics. She was funny, with a dry wit that caught him off guard and made him laugh until his sides ached. She was kind, treating every member of her crew with respect and genuine interest in their lives. And she was lonely, he realized, watching her stare out at the stars late one night in the observation deck. "Penny for your thoughts?" he asked, joining her at the viewport. "We don't have pennies on Aurora," she teased, but her smile was sad. "I was thinking about expectations. My family expects me to marry someone from another royal house to forge political alliances. The council expects me to be dignified and proper. My people expect me to preserve traditions." She turned to face him fully. But sometimes I just want to be Zara, not Princess Zaralyn, not the heir to the agricultural dynasty, not the keeper of ancient cultivation secrets. Just me. Marcus reached out and tucked a strand of blonde hair behind her ear, marveling at how natural the gesture felt. I like just Zara, he said softly. She's my favorite person on this ship. She closed the distance between them, her lips meeting his in a kiss that tasted like possibilities and promises. When they finally broke apart, both breathless, Zara whispered against his mouth, I should tell you something. On Aurora, sharing star coconuts with someone is significant. It's what couples do when they're courting seriously, when they're considering a permanent bond. When I invited you to try my coconuts, I wasn't being subtle. I gathered that, Marcus admitted, grinning. I'm a merchant, remember? I know when someone's offering me the deal of a lifetime. Aurora was breathtaking. The planet's unique rotation kept it in perpetual twilight on one hemisphere, and it was here that the famous zero-gravity orchards floated. Massive biodomes suspended in the upper atmosphere where the gravitational forces balanced perfectly. Zaralyn took him up in a small craft, and as they entered her family's private grove, Marcus understood immediately why star coconuts couldn't be replicated. The trees grew in impossible spirals, their trunks twisted by the strange gravity into works of natural art. The fruits themselves hung like lanterns, their shells translucent and filled with liquid that glowed with soft inner light. Everything here moved in a slow dance, responding to air currents and the subtle pull of Aurora's three moons. It's magnificent, Marcus breathed, watching Zara float effortlessly between the trees, her blonde hair spreading around her like a golden cloud, her purple skin luminescent in the grove's ethereal light. This is my favorite place in the universe, she said, beckoning him to follow. She guided him to an ancient tree at the grove's center, its trunk scarred with centuries of careful cultivation. This is the mother tree, planted by my ancestor 12 generations ago. Every tree in this grove descended from her. Zara carefully harvested a ripe fruit, cradling it like something precious. And this is what I wanted to share with you. They settled on a platform designed for meditation, sitting close together as Zara performed what was clearly a ritual opening of the star coconut. The shell split to reveal crystalline flesh and glowing liquid, and the aroma that wafted up was unlike anything Marcus had ever experienced. Complex, layered, simultaneously familiar and utterly alien. In our tradition, Zara explained, sharing a star coconut from the mother tree is a declaration of intent. It means I'm serious about you, about us, about the possibility of a future together. She met his eyes, vulnerable and brave. I know it's fast. We've known each other less than a. But Marcus, I've never felt this way about anyone, and life is too short to pretend otherwise. So I'm asking you, formally and traditionally, if you'll court me properly by Auroran custom and see where this takes us. Marcus thought about his failed confectionery venture, about the life of loneliness he'd been living, about the incredible woman offering him not just business success but genuine connection. Yes, he said simply, and accepted the piece of star coconut she offered. The taste was indescribable, sweet but not cloying, with notes of vanilla and citrus and something that reminded him of starlight itself. As they shared the fruit in comfortable silence, Marcus felt the stress and disappointment of the past months melting away, replaced by something that felt suspiciously like hope. So, he said eventually, tell me about these cultivation secrets. If I'm going to be your exclusive distributor, I should probably learn the business." Zara laughed, that wonderful bell chime sound he was growing addicted to. "Eager to work already? We haven't even finished our first courting coconut." "I'm a multitasker," Marcus said, pulling her closer in the gentle zero gravity. "I can romance a beautiful princess and learn about agricultural distribution networks simultaneously." The months that followed were the happiest of Marcus's life. He split his time between learning the intricacies of star coconut cultivation, the specific atmospheric conditions required, the careful timing of harvests, the traditional songs Zara's family sang to encourage fruit production, and courting Zara herself. She introduced him to her family, who were surprisingly welcoming despite his lack of royal lineage. Her father, the king, was particularly pleased that someone was finally making his daughter laugh again. Her mother, the queen, grilled him extensively about his intentions, but eventually gave her blessing. The business side proved equally rewarding. Marcus's merchant instincts, combined with his genuine understanding of what made star coconuts special, led to marketing strategies that had demand outstripping supply within weeks. He negotiated contracts that were fair to both Aurora and the buyers, building a reputation for integrity that opened doors across the sector. But the real treasure was the relationship blossoming between him and Zara. They worked side by side in the groves, their partnership as natural in business as it was in romance. She taught him to read the subtle signs that indicated a tree was ready for harvest, and he taught her about market trends and distribution logistics. They debated, they laughed, they occasionally argued about strategy, and through it all, their bond deepened. 6 months after that first meeting at the trade summit, Marcus took Zara back to the mother tree at sunset, or what passed for sunset on Aurora's eternal twilight. He'd commissioned a special gift from Earth, a small music box that played Auroran melodies he'd learned to love. When he presented it to her, along with a formal proposal in Auroran tradition, she cried tears of joy that floated in the zero gravity like tiny diamonds. "You came into my life peddling sweets," she said through her tears, "and I offered you coconuts, but what we found was so much more. You make me better, Marcus. You challenge me, you support me, you see me for who I am and love me anyway." "Not anyway," Marcus corrected, pulling her close. "Because of who you are, every brilliant, stubborn, wonderful part of you." He kissed her softly. "Besides, you were right about the coconuts. They're infinitely better than chocolate." Their bonding ceremony was held in the Mother Tree Grove, witnessed by both their families and broadcast across Aurora. It merged Earth and Auroran traditions in ways that honored both cultures, and when they shared a star coconut from the mother tree as newly bonded partners, Marcus knew he'd found something more valuable than any business success. He'd found home. Years later, when people asked him about the secret to his success, the star coconut distribution network that spanned the galaxy, the partnership with Aurora's royal family, the life he'd built, Marcus always smiled and gave the same answer. "I learned to skip the sweets and try something new. Best decision I ever made." And Zara, standing beside him as always, would add with a knowing smile, "Sometimes the rarest treasures in the universe come disguised as whispered invitations. You just have to be brave enough to accept them."